welcome. This is a super important podcast about hair, question mark, featuring Ryan Teal and Steven Adams as your co-hosts. Let's begin.
I'm so excited to be on a super important podcast.
I know.
I feel like I'm part of ZZ Top.
Well, the thing about it too is that I'm really glad to have you. I mean, for those of you who don't know who this man is, he is what I call one of the three of the hairdresser Illuminati. He doesn't do hair, but I swear to God, him and like two other people run this industry. And I always go to him. He's like a big mentor of mine, and so it's Gordon
I
Miller.
adore you. I adore both of you.
Yeah.
Gordon
Well, me
Miller.
more.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, you know everything. You know everything about the industry. So like, that's one of the things. How did you get to where you are? Who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Who am I?
Yeah. Who are you?
I am. I'm currently CEO of Hairbrained. Which I absolutely love every single day. I've been in the industry 40 years. Like you said, I'm not a hairdresser. But I think I've been in more hair classes than the average hairdresser over the years. And I started out in the school side of the industry, and kind of Pivot Point found me and dragged me to Chicago. Came into the industry in 1978. So it's
I saw some pictures of you with like long,
years.
Bon Jovi hair.
I had
Seriously?
Bon Jovi hair.
Yeah,
I had a
but no
beard.
way.
I had a beard. Well, I didn't have quite the shaggy thing, but I had long hair. Actually, halfway down my back.
Really? I need to see pictures
That's
of that.
when I was in college. But no, I came up through the school side education. Ended up a VP of Pivot Point, president of Milady. Then I was with the Hairdressers Association, which I ran for 10 years. Then did some consulting. I fell in love with social and digital. I mean, I was one of the early adopters, people tell me. And
Yes, you were.
I was just like, this is going to change everything. It's going to change the industry, and it has. Fundamentally, people have different opinions, better or worse. But I think it's transformational, and I think it's mostly good, and I'm excited about what it's doing and what it's going to do, and that led me to American Salon, where I was publisher for 3+ years, and now Hairbrained, and retirement's around the corner.
I mean, where I really met you was in your when you were doing your classes on digital social media.
I was one of the first. I'm
you
proud
were,
to say.
You were, you definitely were, and I went to probably 3 or 4 of them, and it really got me involved a little bit in social media and just like being on the edge of it. I think as a hairdresser you always have to be. It doesn't actually mean if you're not even a hairdresser. Any job, you have to be on the cutting edge of what's new.
Right.
And I think you've always done that. So,
Thank you.
And I always tell people to watch what Gordon's doing, because whatever he's doing is what we need to be following, or we will be doing that, eventually. It's the same thing you said. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'll say this, it's been, I guess I maybe been lucky this way, but I love this business so much. I love the people. I love hairdressers, and I think because I grew up in the school side of the business and saw people's lives transformed in really amazing ways. I love it so much, and so to me, when I see things that I think are going to make a difference, I want to kind of bang the drum and say to everybody, look at what's and the other thing I think is important to say about myself is I'm not that smart. I like to read, I like to watch, I like to pay attention to what's happening in the larger world around us. So to me, it's like one of the biggest challenges for hairdressers has always been marketing themselves.
Right.
So I've always been fascinated, like, well, how's the rest of the world market? And what can we learn from them? So that, if I have a gift, it's that I pay attention to a lot of stuff, and I'm good at copying and translating information for the industry. So,
And marketing is really, I think, important for everything. We were just talking about this actually earlier today, because we were talking about a lot of product lines, because we were walking the floor and we were just saying that
more than ever,
marketing is, I've seen brands start, and I've seen brands die, and I've seen brands that are really amazing that have no marketing that go nowhere. And then I've seen mediocre products with amazing product, marketing. And we were just talking earlier, it's like, American Crew was a product line. When they started, their marketing was done before the product was done.
David had passion,
he was so passionate about it, and he was like, I got to see all that stuff beforehand, and I was like so amazed. He was polished.
Yep.
and he did it right, and that's why they're still around.
Marketing matters, and it's like what you just said applies to salons. How many
does.
salons have we seen come and go? How
Oh,
many
yeah.
hairdressers have we seen come and go? And how many hairdressers who maybe aren't the greatest craftspeople who've had brilliant careers,
yeah,
because
yeah.
they were great marketers, they were great talkers. I always tell people, I'm not a hairdresser, I'm a consumer. I pay for services.
Yeah.
I don't accept free services. And so, what do I know about what's on top of my head? What I know is how did I feel when I walked out the
Yeah,
door, and if I
yeah.
feel good, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And I will forgive someone who did. Someone told me today, they're like, your guy missed kind of the back of your neck. You need a little trim. And I'm like, okay, I'll tell it to him, but I'm going back to him because I adore him.
But yeah, you have a great relationship,
Yeah.
and you can like coach him and help him grow. You probably wouldn't stay with him if he kept getting worse.
No, I wouldn't, but I'd give him 2 or 3 kind of screw ups,
Exactly, yeah.
because I like him that much.
Are you still going to Sassoon?
No.
I was
No.
like, was it Travis?
No,
You can be honest.
No. And I was a customer of Sassoon's in Chicago for a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
long
no,
time,
yeah.
and I left them only because I moved farther north and couldn't get down there
okay,
anymore. So anyway, shout out to Sassoon.
Yeah, totally. And
exactly.
all of
I
them.
mean, I'm trying to think. What do you got? Any?
Yeah. So
questions right
where
now?
do you see the industry going? Like what is your like what's next? And in regards to not only like education but just in general, because you have such amazing knowledge on what is coming and what's going to be happening next because of this and this and this. And
Yeah.
this.
So before you answer the question, though, we want to think about the future. I'm going to break it into categories.
Okay.
Because it's such a broad
Yeah, it
question.
is. Yeah, it is.
So let's start with, where do you see salons? We'll start with salons.
Okay.
Where do you see salons going in the future?
So this is a almost everyday conversation these days.
Yeah.
It feels
It
like
is.
we're at that place in life, in the industry where it's just bubbled up. It's on everybody's mind,
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially on those who've created businesses and have invested their lives into doing something, and now they're wondering, am I going to get through the change?
Exactly.
That's coming, and so it's definitely kind of the hot topic. And so I've thought a lot about it. And my answer is a little bit contrarian, which I kind of have a reputation.
I
for
love
having.
that about you, though. Yeah.
So my kind of pat answer is big picture. Big
Yeah.
picture. Not that different than today. Now, there's a lot of nuances to that. And the reason I say that is, again, 40 years. Let's talk about our salons today versus 10 years ago. Now, you're in the weeds, you do it, so you would have a
Yeah.
different reaction than I would. But big picture, when I look at the industry, we're like a glacier. We're like a glacier moving,
It's really
through the
slow.
ocean, really slow, and we react to what's happening around us. We really do. Innovation usually happens outside the industry, and then it finds its way towards us.
Yeah.
Salon flooring, was not designed for salons. That stuff was a bigger flooring thing happening, and it found its way to us.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of versions of that in every way, shape, and form.
Right.
So people go to salons for an experience. They go to salon because at a certain level, for some people, it's a commodity. They just have to get their haircut.
Yeah.
For other people, it really is experiential, and there's a wide variance in what expectations are. I don't think those are going to change. So if the customer expectations and interests aren't going to change, then what about salons will change? As technology changes, we'll adapt. And it's moving faster. Who knows where it's going to be 2 years from now, but it's moving faster, and we are slowly adapting. Having said that, we all get to hang with people who are more successful than us. And I think that always colors what we think. We look at things and we're like, oh wow, this is taking off. I'll use men's grooming as a perfect example.
Yeah.
Barbering.
Yeah.
It's like crazy what's happened in barbering. In the bigger picture of the industry globally, I'd say it's a blip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a on the economic scale, it's kind of on the lower end of the service pricing model.
Yep.
Everybody's fascinated with it because of all this Instagram stuff, which is really exciting. It's inspiring. It's artful.
Well,
right?
we had the men's thing boomed like
before we lived through it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And
So
then
it's like-
and then it capped.
Yep.
And you couldn't sell haircutting classes for men
Right.
in the 90s. I mean, you couldn't give them away.
Yep. And for how long, and what is the audience for fades? I mean, and there's other, components. I have huge respect for what the barbers are doing
Yeah.
and for the craft. But economically speaking, big picture, we know the data is the average guy doesn't go to a salon. The majority of men in this country almost never go to a salon.
Yeah.
It's a fairly small segment, and the average salon, not barber shop, you know, I think it's under 20%, you know,
Yeah.
of the total business, right? Well, men and women are about 50-50 in America. You know, there's a few more women actually because we
Exactly.
die younger.
Yeah.
That's the reason, by
Yeah,
the
yeah,
way.
exactly.
We die younger. But it's not that balanced from the service perspective.
Right.
And some people might say, oh, that's because they're going to barbershops. There aren't enough barbershops to take care of an equal
They're,
amount.
Yeah.
they're going to fast service salons.
Or their wife is doing
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
they're doing it
yeah,
themselves.
yeah, shaving their
I
head.
mean,
yeah.
my favorite thing to do when I think about like the bigger industry and what we do and how we think about ourselves is to sit in the last row in an airplane. And I always have that moment where I look up and I go, oh my God, who did all that terrible hair? You know? And then I'm like, well, hopefully they did it to themselves. But at the same time, if this 200 people is like a focus group, if
Yeah.
you will, of hair,
Yeah, no, it's a great focus group.
there's too much bad hair, and the guys are the worst.
Yeah.
You know, the guys are the worst. All the
Yeah,
business guys
yeah.
with those bad haircuts, and so again, I think back to what we're talking about here is that, you know, from a trend perspective, I think, you know, men's isn't what we think it is. The excitement around it is not reflected in the shift in the industry.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
so. Again, I think big picture, there's some glacial. There's glacial changes, and I think if you want to really dig into the question, you're probably going to ask me about the business models, rental versus commission and all that.
Well, no, we just. I mean, we can talk about it.
That's the big shift.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think so
that-
too.
that is
Yeah.
the big shift.
It is.
It's a
I mean,
shift that worries me, to be honest. you know.
And I own.
Why?
Well, I own one rental and one
Yep.
employee, and I have them side by side, and I'm testing it and feeling it and seeing what's happening with it. It's like my little petri dish.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love you have a petri dish on a business model
Yeah.
side of things.
Yeah.
So rental's interesting because, you know, it's the one person business,
Yeah.
right? Now it's evolving quickly because of suites. Like I'm seeing more and more 2-chair, 3-chair,
Uh-huh.
4-chair suites.
Yeah.
So now we're not talking. Maybe there's rental, but these are little salons,
Yeah.
and they're complexes of little salons.
Yep.
You know, which to me is like going to the mall, which is a complex of retail centers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So now, and it's interesting, right? Because the suite owners, the really great ones, can aggregate all kinds of services, and
Yep.
there's efficiencies that come. My biggest fear for the industry when it comes to the rental side of life is that I do not believe that the average person who comes into this industry, that their passion is about business. And I think when I look at people who are
Yeah.
successful in business, they were kind of born entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had interest in certain things that other people don't, and that's what makes them so successful. And you and I, and the three of us, we know people, you know, who fit that.
Yeah.
But I have watched generations and lots of people fail getting into business, old school, new school. And what I'm hearing on the suite side of thing is like it's just we're not even mature yet, so we don't really
Right.
know where it's headed. But I talk to a lot of friends who are renting suites, being successful, and when I say, okay, I knew you'd be successful because you're that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
What's going on around you?
Yeah.
And I'm hearing often, you know, my neighbors are not the same neighbors they were 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that worries me.
I was
So,
gonna say, it's a really interesting thing exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and I think I'm thinking about it. Just going back to the men's, we're talking about barbershop because the barbershop model, 90% of the time in the barbershop model, maybe more. It's more people come in and they're all independent contractors.
which is illegal, by the way.
Right,
Independent
it is.
contracting, illegal.
It is. Right.
Different conversation.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that another time. it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's fascinating to me because in my salon, I put in a barber chair. I decided to like dedicate, you know, like a little 10 by 10 area
Yep.
for barbering. And my goal was to see like what was going to happen and see how we could grow it and see what we can do and see where we, you know, but it's, you know, almost impossible to hire an employee or a barber as an employee.
Because their culture as business, as a part of the industry, the culture is rental. I mean, it is. You come into something and you're like, well, this is how we do what we do. Barbers are independent contractors.
Yeah.
You know, rental. You know, for a lot of people, rental feels new. You know, rental really. You know, I don't know that it began in the African American community, but it has been the
Yeah.
primary business
Yeah.
model,
Yeah.
90-some%. for decades and decades
Right.
and decades. And so similar challenges, in that segment of our industry, because it's like, well, this is how we do our business. And so the commission thing is a little foreign.
Yeah.
And California, rental, 70-80% of the California market's been rental, again, for decades.
Yeah.
So this is a very complex conversation
Oh, yeah.
that we're trying to simplify.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can talk for an hour about it.
Especially
Yeah.
with
Oh, yeah,
California
no,
and
exactly,
them
yeah.
getting hit really bad, like
Right.
what, last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so it's always, it is interesting. I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to really change. Like I don't think like independent's going to take over.
Right.
And I think it needs to have a model of both.
Well, and I think that we all want mentorship and
Mm-hmm.
leadership in our lives, whether we're a boss who needs a mentor outside being
Mm-hmm.
a boss or somebody who's working for somebody. And I honestly believe that, the movement of rental is a reaction. And I talk to kids all the time. Kids. For me, a kid is like 40.
Right.
So
Well,
I talk to
thank
people-
you. So we're
Yeah.
kids.
I talk
We're the
to
kids.
people all the time. It's like, okay, you made this change. Why? More often than not, and I can have a more honest conversation than perhaps they had with the owner.
Yeah.
Right? As to what was going on. More often than not, the conversation is about failed management,
Yeah.
failed leadership.
Exactly.
I went to work for somebody hoping certain things would happen. I was hoping for education. I was hoping for some mentorship. I was hoping my salon would market. And, and they're not. And this is just, all these
Yeah, yeah.
conversations I'm
No,
having,
those are
they're
all-
not. And so therefore, I couldn't figure out a reason why I would keep doing it the way I'm doing it. So I decided to go out and do it a different way. And I do really believe that that's one of the biggest challenges that the industry's faced for decades. And I
Yeah.
believe it finally, something happened.
Uh-huh.
And now it's Pandora's box. The box is open, and now we got to figure out how to best deal with it and how to
Right,
support those who are renting, and make them as good as we can. And I think that's why things like the suites are interesting to me. Salon Republic in California, Eric Taylor does
Yeah.
a great job. I mean, the services and the support that they give the renters, is phenomenal. It's like
Yeah.
living in a great apartment building. They
Yeah,
give you
yeah,
amenities and
yeah.
because they want to keep you as a renter.
Right.
So they want you to be successful.
Yeah.
And I would encourage anybody who's going to go into rental to seek out a situation
Yeah,
where there's
That's
stuff
going to
around
be
you.
support. Yeah. Where
And
they're
there's so
gonna
many
support,
good
where
ones
they're
right
gonna
now too,
offer,
like
yeah.
all of those, like Phoenix and Sola and Studio Suites and all that. I mean, they're all like fantastic.
And then you just have to know you're taking on a second job,
Yeah.
which is running a business.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you're an employee, perhaps you
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So I have another question. What sort of advice would you give somebody starting up in the industry right now? Like, maybe outside of, obviously education or the stereotypes, but what would Gordon Miller give, advice to somebody? Like maybe you were starting right now in the industry as a hairdresser. What would you tell yourself?
I say this to students. I sometimes don't get invited back to schools when I say this to students, but I think knowledge is power. And I just think it's so important to truly understand the reality of the business, which I would believe that many in the industry don't. But so the first thing I would say to myself, that I'm gonna give advice to somebody else.
Okay,
So my
okay,
first
okay.
advice I would give to somebody else.
Yeah.
Is that to understand that everybody in America who needs a haircut can get a haircut.
Uh-huh.
There's nobody waiting for you to come into this industry. And so the competition is fierce. And again, after 40 years, it's never been as fierce as it is.
Yeah.
And for salons, for individuals, and as always, again, talking about the future versus the past, there's always been great success stories. Always.
Right.
There still are. Amazing success stories. There will always be there. There are also, and we don't talk about them enough, failures.
Yeah.
Every single day, people leave this industry. They always have. They always have. So what I would say to anybody, is, understand that, and then think, do you have what it takes? Do you really have what it takes? Are you passionate enough about, and I don't forget about being passionate about the craft, because I believe it's like a relationship with another human being. Sometimes it takes you a little while to get there, right?
Yeah.
You kind of know this, you think this is what you want to do, but do you have a passion for working hard?
Yeah.
This is a hard
It is.
business. You got to get in there and do the
Yeah.
work, and
Yeah.
and too many people don't.
Yeah.
So,
It's really sad when that happens.
And by the
As
way,
a salon owner,
Yeah.
and as an employer,
Yep.
it's like I see it so many times where I bring somebody in and just as they're about to where you can just see
Yep.
it's like they're about to explode and become really awesome, they quit.
Yeah.
We all know so many of those.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
But here's what I would say about almost anything we talk about the industry. If you look outside the industry and talk to people who do other things, they'll have the same stories.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's America today, and it's all kind. People like to blame the new generation. I love the millennials, and I love the kids younger.
Yeah.
I just think they're so passionate, and just because they won't put up with some of the same shit that we put up with, we think something's wrong with them.
And why do they need to? And why do they need to?
I
Like just
found-
because
yeah.
because we had to do like finger waves in beauty
Right.
school doesn't mean they have to do finger waves in
Right.
beauty school.
Exactly.
So what?
Well, I'm a believer in the old finger waves and the classics. Again, not as a hairdresser, because what my mentor Leo Passage taught me. However, again, I just think we all need to be a little bit more understanding
Yeah.
of the new generation.
Oh,
coming
yeah,
in.
yeah,
and,
no.
and respectful,
Yeah.
You gotta be
yeah.
very respectful of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And
as we should be.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're great. So let's see. Where do you see trade shows?
Trade shows, again, having watched them forever, when I came in, I'm so old, there was no amplification on the floor. There was no music.
yeah,
There
yeah.
wasn't. There
So-
wasn't. They were quiet. And I believe that one of the biggest challenges trade shows have today
It's loud.
is creating an environment where we as attendees can enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
I came up with a great idea today. We talked about it in our
Okay.
class on how. I want to see if you
Okay,
get my
let's
feedback.
pitch it.
Okay, here's my pitch. I think trade shows are super important.
I do too.
I think they're
It's
possibly
where we all see our
we
friends,
see
and
our
find
friends,
new
it's a
mentors.
gathering. It's like it's a time where we actually become united. But what I think the focus is right now, like you had a classroom right
Yep.
over here. It's on the 4th floor. It's hard to get to. DJ Muldoon, his classroom, we couldn't
Yep.
even find. It was super hard. What they should be doing is they should take all the classrooms and put all the manufacturers in the classrooms. So that's where they have their products. They should have on the floor all the
Education.
education
Oh,
with
interesting.
no volume, so people can go and actually
Very interesting.
watch all the education and actually learn. And if they are inspired by a product, go to the room.
Interesting. So here's my take on that, because I don't think they're going to do that.
But they're not-
That's a very interesting idea. No, I think so. I just took a vacation. First time in a long time. I took a vacation. I went to Japan.
Oh,
I
yeah.
went to Tokyo. I had such a good time. And because I'm an American, I can't help myself. I went to Tokyo Disneyland.
Okay.
And
Did
spent
you?
a day. I had such
That's
a good
cool.
time.
Oh, awesome.
Such a good time. Everybody put on your bucket list. Go to Tokyo. Go to Japan. Go to Kyoto too, by the way. But Disney, they're the geniuses of direction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't get lost. I mean, well, you can get. Here's the thing: if you do get lost, every 20 feet there's someone to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have service down at such a level,
Yeah.
and I think if what you said is true, I struggle at every trade show to find something,
Yeah.
and if there were better signage, if there was
Yeah.
more helpers, there
Yeah,
were more
yeah,
information
yeah.
people who were not waiting to go back to the home at night. Because, the people who work these convention centers sometimes, they're not that helpful. Because
No.
they're nice people, they're nice little old ladies, God bless you.
Actually, we've
Mom.
met a couple today
Yeah.
that have been really great when they're
Yeah.
guiding us. We're like, "Where's this
Yeah.
room?" And this lady's like, "I've worked here for 25 years, and
I
I
don't
just,"
know.
she's like, "I just found it."
But I do think if this is a problem, and I think I agree with you, it is. I think it's up to the shows, because here's what I do know about trade shows, and I love trade shows, and I say to everybody, if you don't go to one a year,
Yeah.
you're not a committed professional.
Yeah.
And if you are a committed professional, you just somehow don't know how important it is. Pay attention.
Yeah.
It's so important. We know people's lives have been changed.
Oh, yeah.
Completely. Careers blown up, opportunity. And we're here talking about trends. Well, this is where
Mm-hmm.
this is the microcosm of the industry. This is the good, the bad, the ugly, all in one place. I mean, you really want to see fundamentally who are we as an industry.
You come here.
This is
You
it.
come here,
Yeah.
and you see the diversity of every part of the industry, every age group of the industry. You can see how we're getting younger as an industry. Now, some of us are getting older, but I do believe demographically, society has, the young demographic's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger than it's ever been, and that's having an impact on the industry. So trade shows will always be here. They're evolving. This was a rough year, for trade shows.
Yeah.
Kudos to Premier Orlando,
Yeah.
because I think you guys are rock solid this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
They are.
I think, but some of the others struggled a bit, and that worries us.
Yeah.
Those of us who go to trade shows. I think education's taken a hit at trade shows the last few years, and that's disappointing. Trade show folks, I'd encourage you more classrooms, better classrooms, make it easier for educators to be here. make it less expensive for them to be here. I just think it's this to me is the power of a trade show. Come take a class, come take a workshop, go visit a main stage, and then go shopping.
Right.
You know, shopping should be, and by the way,
Shopping should be secondary.
secondary, and advice to those who haven't shopped yet on a trade show floor, shop early, shop late.
Yeah.
Don't shop
Yeah.
in the middle. Don't take classes.
Yeah,
You
don't
know,
take classes.
it's like going to Disney. My Disney. Are we allowed to say? Are we allowed to speak to people off camera?
Yeah,
yeah.
you sure can. He
So,
actually, we.
Oscar,
Please join us.
Oscar,
Please
another
join.
another old person. So this is like
the oldest.
like
I think English is called the eldest.
Oscar Bond, and the old hairdresser bus is pulling up to the building shortly. We're all going to get on.
Here on my frame.
They're going to let me on. You know? So, hi, Oscar Bond.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Always
you.
good to see you. Good to see you all again.
We're doing a I don't know what we're doing a
It's a
podcast.
collab.
It's, yeah, we're,
Yeah.
How are you?
He's going to come and join us, so that's awesome. We're
It's
gonna
perfect.
interview him
So
next, so this
you're
is
next,
great
so you have to
training.
leave until it's my time. My time, Oscar.
It takes a while. I need to go to the bathroom when
It's over
Down
there.
the hall, through the.
Speaking of great education at trade shows, Oscar Bond.
Oscar
Yeah,
Bond,
always.
one of the
I went to
Oscar
work at
Bond.
Lonza because he was there.
There you go.
I went to work
There you go.
Okay, so I have a last question for
We
you.
work
Okay.
together. Okay.
I know that you are a big music fan, and you started the Spotify Hairbrain Spotify.
Oh yeah, I did a little playlist. Yeah.
So we want to
It's
know.
running constantly, right? It's still going.
It's still going.
Okay.
Yeah.
We update it.
You updated.
I'll get you guys have to give me some songs.
Well, see, that's the thing.
This is
we
like-
want to know yours. Top five.
Mine.
Your top five.
Oh.
that you-
And let's go albums.
We're gonna go albums.
Yeah.
We're making it even harder. Top.
So
five.
first of all, I'm a very big K-pop fan.
Really? You know, actually, that doesn't
I
surprise
love
me.
K-pop.
At first, I was like, no, but actually,
You know, but
yes.
not. But I like kind of old school K-pop. So Big Bang, G-Dragon, check them out. My dear friend Carlos Sugar Skulls. I introduced him to G-Dragon, and he just sent me a note about it when I was in Tokyo. Now he was confused. That's J-pop, so
Yeah.
he encouraged me to go see them in Japan. But I do love K-pop, so I love Big Bang.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of their last album, but I'm a fan of that. G-Dragon in particular, which was I think the Unknown album. Old school. So I'm not good at remembering album names.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm terrible. That's okay. You
So
can
like
just-
best of Aretha Franklin.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
like
That's a
high
good one.
on the list. My first album I ever had is still one of my favorites, which is Janis Joplin and Big Brother and the Holding Company.
yeah.
Oh,
You know,
Solid,
and-
yeah.
yeah. So there we go. So the old folks, again, the old folks are in the house. Gosh, who? Oh, top. I love the Rolling Stones.
Okay. Okay.
I love the Rolling Stones. And to me, it's always kind of a best of,
Yeah.
because
Sure, yeah.
so every album, it's like there's two or three that stand out.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of like, that's why I love Spotify so much.
You said Frozen.
Oscar's going for Frozen.
I want to look at my playlist. I'm not going to look at my Spotify
Sure,
playlist.
sure.
Who else do I love? It's so diverse. I like Linkin Park. A lot. I like Anita Baker.
Nice.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay.
And yeah, my personal playlist is way more diverse because if you go to Hairbrain Conversations on Spotify, it's a playlist. Only one song on the list is mine.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, those are songs from Mark Hayes and
Okay, yeah.
from Ginger
Yeah.
Boyle, and we have all kinds of people on there. So now I got to have the two of you on together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, that would
so
be fun. We'd
it would
totally
be
do
fun.
it.
Okay, cool. And you'll give me names for songs that I can
Yeah,
add to
sure.
the
Oh,
list.
yeah.
So, how can people get a hold of you if you want them to get a hold
Do
of
you
you?
want them to?
I totally. I
okay.
answer all the DMs. I'm a very modern guy, so I love Instagram DMs.
Okay.
Just love Instagram DMs. Pardon me?
You're very accessible.
Oscar Bond says I'm very
He is.
accessible.
He always picks up the phone and answers his email.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I got it with me at all times. But DM me, GORDNM, Gordon M with 1 O. That's Instagram. That's me on Instagram. I'm boycotting Facebook. We love Facebook for Hairbrained, and I'm on there every single day for it. I believe it's really powerful for business. On a personal level, they're destroying the world, sorry. And so therefore, I have not participated personally on Facebook in over a
Interesting.
year.
Okay.
Yep.
But I'm on there every day for Hairbrain. You can email me, Gordon at HBHairbrain, HBmail, MAIL.me, not .com. So Gordon at HBmail.me.
Not MALE. HB Mail.
No.
Oh,
I don't even know what to do about this. You know, I'm the gay guy between these two straight guys, and I'm getting nervous. On that note, this has been a blast. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much
joining
for
us.
that.
This
Pleasure.
was
They
so
made me
great.
hold the microphone. You know, I'm holding it too close now.
You started off here.
Yeah, I don't know. They should have warned me.
It's like Ricky Bobby.
We
It's
may
like,
have
I
to
don't
do-
know what to do with my
We
hands.
may have to do this again.
No, it'll be all good.
So-
Actually, we should do one.
Yeah, in the future, yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, love you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again for listening to a super important podcast about hair, featuring Stephen Adams and the host Ryan Teal. Hopefully we'll see you again